like a good sandwich? Personally, I'm a big fan of them. And today we are making one that's been found on tables in France, in cafes, brasseries and bistros since the early 1900s. Can you take a guess? The croque monsieur. Yes. Ham and cheese stacked between two pieces of bread and topped up with some Mornay sauce, cheese sauce. But we are making the better version, the croque madame. We're gonna add some sunny side of eggs and a bit of chives just to finish it up. And just so you know, whether you like monsieur or madame, you're all welcome in this show. Let's do it. Alright, first we're going to start working on the Mornay, which is the French culinary term for cheese sauce. Let's do that. Alright, so for the cheese sauce, really what we're doing is the bechamel with cheese. So we're going to start by infusing the milk, which I think is the most important part of this sandwich. Without the delicious bechamel, it's not going to be tasty. So for the milk, we are going to pour in a saucepan of milk. We're going to add some thyme, and which I like to do is to rub the thyme, so you're going to give that extra flavor. Then we're going to take an onion, we're going to peel it, and we're going to just simply dice it and put it inside of the milk. And once we're done with the onion, we're going to move on with the shallot. I'm going to do the same thing, just peel it off, cut it into a large chunk, and we're going to add it to our milk. Then next we're going to add some garlic. So I'm going to take 4 cloves of garlic, and I'm simply going to just crush them. So no need to peel them, don't worry about any of this, just throw them in the milk, and we're going to move on to the next part. We're gonna then add the spices. So I'm using nutmeg. It's really going to bring all these flavors together. And then we'll place our pot on medium high heat and bring our mixture to a simmer. While the milk is steeping and getting all these flavors, I'm gonna start grating the cheese. Alright, I don't think you need an history on how to grate cheese, but just know that I'm using a Gruyere cheese. So you wanna go for something that is pretty strong and that really is going to bring some flavors to your dish. Once you grate it, we're gonna move on to the roux. For the roux, you really need to go for a bulletproof one, right? Because that's very important. It's going to emulsify the milk. So we're going to place some butter on the heat and we're going to make sure it's all melted. Once melted, we're going to add the flour and we're going to start using a tiny whisk to bring it all together. You want to cook it for about 2 to 3 minutes so you kind of get rid of that flavor of raw flour. So make sure you cook that flour out, and once it's cooked, we're going to actually start emulsifying with the milk. So the milk has been steeping and developing some amazing flavors, so we are going to simply put it through a sieve to discard all of those delicious aromas, and we're going to move on to the next step. Alright, now we're going to assemble the Mornay. So we're going to slowly emulsify the milk into the roux, going little by little so it doesn't form any clumps. As you see, I'm going to ditch the big whisk for the tiny one because it's much easier. We'll continue until all the milk is fully incorporated and we have the desired consistency, nice and thick. Then we'll add some salt and pepper and we're going to be ready for the next step, which is going to be adding the cheese to finish the Mornay. And now we're going to start folding the cheese.
What does that mean? What does folding the cheese mean?
He folds it in.
I understand that, but how do you fold it? Do you fold it in half like a piece of paper and drop it in the pot, or what do you do?
Dad, I cannot show you everything.
Okay, well, can you show me one thing?
Here's what you do. You just fold it in.
Okay, I don't know how to fold broken cheese like that.
And I don't know how to be any clearer. You take that thing that's in your hand, and you...
If you say fold in one more time.
It says fold it in!
No offense, David.
Alright people, I am done nerding out and I'm just gonna simply finish the Mornay by adding a bit of lemon zest. This is optional, but I think it adds a bit of balance because it's a very rich sauce. So adding a bit of lemon gonna bring like an acidic floral flavor. And I will simply put that sauce into a ramekin and make sure you add some plastic, or at least you cover it so you don't have a skin on top of it. Alright, now let's assemble the sandwich. So the secret to a really good croque monsieur is also some really good bread. So always smell it, make sure it's nice and flavorful and it smells fantastic. So I'm using a 9-grain loaf, which I'm going to carve and get 2 pieces out of it. Obviously, you want to make sure they are quite about the same size because, I mean, you've made a sandwich before, so you get me. Then I'm gonna add some butter onto one side of my bread. I'm using, once again, as always, some delicious high quality butter. And I'm gonna add some pepper and salt in the bread. I always like to season my bread. Once we do that, we're gonna move on to the other side of the sandwich and we're gonna start spreading some of that delicious Mornay sauce. Honestly, be generous. Then we'll place the ham. I went with 3 to 4 slices. Again, it's based on how hungry you are, but I think it's important to make sure our sandwich is stacked. Then we're gonna place some of that Swiss cheese. It's gonna be fruity and then super melty, which we love in a sandwich. Then we'll finish by adding some butter on top of the sandwich and we are now ready for the next step. All right, we have very few steps before we can start eating. We're gonna cook our sandwich right here in a cast iron. Meanwhile, we are going to make our sunny side up eggs as well as cutting the chives. Let's do it. All right, I'm using a cast iron, but you could also use any type of frying pan. It's really up to you. So I'm going to melt some butter into my cast iron, make sure it's nice and foamy. And I'm gonna place my sandwich and twirl it around like it's the dance floor, just to make sure that it's coating all of the butter. One toasted on one side, I'm going to flip it, give that one another twirl. It's Saturday Night Live. And then look at that, it's just so beautiful, nice and melty. All right, and I will then take the sandwich out of the pan onto my tray. The reason why I do that is I don't want it to burn once inside the oven. So I'm going to take some of the Mornay sauce and we're gonna smear the top of the sandwich with a beautiful and delicious, creamy, cheesy goodness. And one more step, we're gonna add a bit of Parmesan, which is gonna help caramelize the top of our sandwich. It's getting very exciting. I am now going to place my sandwich in the oven, which I have set on broil and on a high setting. It's probably gonna stay there for about 3 to 4 minutes, just keep an eye. Now time to do a bit of multitasking. While our bread is cooking in the oven, I'm gonna place more butter in a cast iron pan because the bread soaked it all up. And I'm gonna cook my 2 eggs or 1 egg. I'm gonna season them with salt and pepper. Also regarding the egg, you can do whichever way you want. At the sunny side up, you could do over easy, poached, like it's really up to you. Then we're gonna cut some chives for the garnish. I think it's gonna add a nice touch. And our sandwich is now ready, so we're gonna be able to finish it up. Super easy to assemble. I'm going to simply add my egg up top of my sandwich. Then I'm going to garnish it with a bit of chives. Again, it's optional, you don't have to. And check this beauty out. I'm gonna place it on the plate and now it's time to try it. Well, look at this. It's probably one of my favorite brunch lunch option, actually any time of the day. If you as well enjoyed this video, please like, comment and subscribe. Let me know down below what would you like to see me doing next, and you can also find a recipe in the description. As always, I'm going to try this and I will see you on the next episode. You thought you were done with me, but I'm still here. So I'm gonna take my sandwich and I just want you to see how beautiful this is when I'm slicing the egg. Look at that yolk just running out. It is so delicious. All right, now I promise I'm going to shut up and I'm gonna leave you with the sound experience.